تو ابھی حال ہی میں ہو گیا کہ ابھی دلی سے لوٹ کر آئی ہیں اور ان کی خواہش تھی کہ یہ وہاں جائیں، مقبوضہ کشمیر کی صورتحال خود اپنی آنکھوں سے دیکھیں اور پھر یہاں آزاد کشمیر کی صورتحال بھی اپنی آنکھوں سے دیکھیں اور ایز این انڈیپینڈنٹ باڈی جا کے رپورٹ کریں کہ ان کے تاثرات کیا ہیں اور ان کی اسیسمنٹ کیا ہے۔ ہندوستان میں جو رویہ اپنایا گیا، ان کو ڈیپورٹ کیا گیا، ان کو داخل نہیں ہونے دیا گیا، وہ آپ کے سامنے ہے، وہ خود بتا دیں گی۔ جہاں تک پاکستان کا تعلق ہے، پاکستان نے ان کو کہا کہ خوش آمدید، آپ جس سے ملنا چاہیں، آپ جہاں جانا چاہیں، آزاد کشمیر میں، پاکستان میں، آپ جس سے ملنا چاہیں، میڈیا سے ملنا چاہیں، کسی تنظیم سے ملنا چاہیں، کسی ہیومن رائٹ باڈی سے ملنا چاہیں، آپ پر کوئی بندش، کوئی قدغن نہیں ہے، اور پھر آپ اپنی رائے قائم کیجئے۔ میں نے انہیں جو جموں اور کشمیر کی صورتحال پر ایک جائزہ پیش کیا ہے۔ یہ وہ پارلیمنٹری گروپ ہے جس نے نومبر 2018 میں ایک رپورٹ شائع کی، اور یہ رپورٹ آئی تھی جون 2018 کی رپورٹ کے بعد، جس میں کہ جو یو این کی کمشنر آف ہیومن رائٹس ہیں اس کی رپورٹ تھی، جس میں کہ ہیومن رائٹس وائلیشنز کی بات ہوئی اور ایک تفصیلی رپورٹ ہے۔ یہ اس کے بعد آئی اور ان کی بہت سی چیزوں میں مطابقت ہے۔ میں نے ایک تو ان سے درخواست کی ہے کہ سیکرٹری جنرل کا دورہ بھی ہوا، وہ بھی میں نے شیئر کیا کہ ہم نے ان سے بھی درخواست کی ہے کہ 5 اگست کی صورتحال کے بعد ہم سمجھتے ہیں کہ تیسری رپورٹ آنی چاہیے، بہت ضروری ہے، کیونکہ 5 اگست کے بعد ایک ڈرامیٹک شفٹ آیا ہے، سچویشن میں بڑی تبدیلی آئی ہے، اور وہ سچویشن جو ہے وہ بگڑی ہے، بہتر نہیں ہوئی، بگڑی ہے، اور ابھی بھی تقریباً 200 دن ہو گئے ہیں اور وہ لاک ڈاؤن، وہ سیج جو ہے وہ جاری ہے۔ مجھے امید ہے کہ یہ بھی اپنی رپورٹ دیں گے اور اپنی ویوز قائم کریں گے۔ تو میں نے جو پاکستان کا نقطہ نظر ہے ان کی خدمت میں پیش کیا، اور جو ان کے سوالات تھے ان کو میں نے جواب دینے کی کوشش کی۔ تو ان ابتدائی کلمات کے بعد I will give you the floor and you can say what you want to, and then you sir, and then we'll have questions.
Is that better? First of all, my apologies for keeping everybody waiting. We had a very full and frank discussion with the Foreign Minister, and I'm very, very grateful to him and the Pakistan government for facilitating this independent trip of the all-party group on Kashmir from the UK Parliament. We consist of parliamentarians from across all political parties who are keenly interested in the issues that Kashmiri people are facing now and have done over several decades now, but particularly the issues that have been faced since August last year. Our focus has been, over the last couple of years since I have been chair of this group, on human rights violations on both sides of the line of control. And we sought to come to visit Pakistan and Azad Kashmir so that we could understand in more detail about what was happening, to speak with people there, officials, but also, as I say, real people to get their experiences. We also sought to visit India and Jammu and Kashmir. Unfortunately, that hasn't happened, but hopefully in the future it will. I can report from our discussions just now, I am very, very grateful, and I mean this very sincerely, to the Foreign Minister. He was incredibly open, as were his officials, about what's happening, and we really pressed the Foreign Minister for answers to specific questions and points that were raised in the last UN human rights report, and I invite anybody who hasn't read that report to do that. And he was very forthcoming, and I particularly welcome the move that he said that he was going to be taking, that there should be a third UN report on human rights issues across both sides of the line of control, and that he will do what he can to facilitate the UN High Commission actually, Human Rights Commission actually coming to Pakistan and enabling them to see for themselves and not just look at documentary evidence. So once, that is fantastic news, and again, I think it shows the openness and the progressive approach that has been taken by Pakistan on this issue, and I hope India will reciprocate as well. Thank you so much.
Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Can I also take this opportunity firstly to thank the Foreign Minister and the Government of Pakistan for facilitating this trip. As the Chair has already made clear, we are an independent group of cross-party parliamentarians with one intention, which is to explore and look at the human rights abuses on all sides of the line of control. And as in previous visits, we have asked both the Government of Pakistan and the Government of India to allow us to come. Tragically, this is not the first time that the Government of India have not just not allowed us, but actually not got back to us, whilst the Government of Pakistan has. And I want to say this is a flashpoint in the Kashmiri struggle. We see today over 6 months, and still we see a draconian blockade that continues to affect the sons and daughters of Kashmir, whether that's regard to the food or medicine shortages or the other restrictions at the moment. And I say this, I use this media platform again today on behalf of the All-Party Parliamentary Group, is if there is nothing to hide, then please allow us to visit that region. We are an independent group, and if you are confident, then please allow us that opportunity to visit so we can see for ourselves.
Isa from Indus TV.
Isa Nakwi representing Indus News. We've seen your work in the past as well. It seems that it's not favoring Pakistan, or it's not anti-India. It talks about human rights. After 5th of August, there have been issues of access on the other side of the line of control. This is what we have seen. The media reports about it. The media doesn't have access. The international media doesn't have access. The UN military observers, they do not have access. And the international observers, recently there was an incident of such kind as well. What do you have to say about that? You will be visiting the Azad Jammu and Kashmir on the Pakistani side, but on the other side of the line of control, there is an access issue. Thank you.
Well, as I mentioned in my opening remarks, that is a source of real concern. So when we were planning this trip, we wanted to make sure that the delegation visited both India and Jammu and Kashmir and have access in the same way that we've been facilitated by the Pakistani government. As Imran has said, I have had no responses to my requests for a delegation to go to Jammu and Kashmir. None whatsoever. But I do hope that India will take the opportunity to reflect on this, to reflect on Pakistan's approach to addressing the issues that it has faced in its different parts of the country, and how they're responding to the report from the UN. To take this opportunity, as I say, to become more open, to allow us to independently see. As again has already been said, we are an independent group. We are not anti-India or pro-Pakistan. It is pro-human rights.
Heather, please.
Thank you, ma'am. We have earlier heard you at Institute of Strategic Studies very briefly, and you were saying that you are pro-human rights. So it is in the context of pro-human rights that human rights situation is worst in Indian-held Kashmir. Merely expressing concern or condemnation, it cannot be the compensation to the miseries of the people of Kashmir over there. British Parliament, this House of Commons is very powerful, and British government is answerable to the House of Commons. So what beyond this condemnation are concerns, what measures you will suggest to 10 Downing, to the most powerful Prime Minister, the British Prime Minister, for an end to this repression in Indian-held Kashmir? And your voice could be, excuse me, could be heard in Brussels, which is EU's headquarters, could be heard in Washington as well. So what forceful measures you will suggest to improve situation of human rights in Indian-held Kashmir? Thank you.
Please don't be under any illusion that we are not doing that. So I met last week with the Foreign Minister, and I think there are issues, and I know my Conservative colleagues who are in this delegation will be reporting back to their party as well. There's no doubt that it is not gone unnoticed in terms of what is happening in Jammu and Kashmir. This is certainly, we are not here for, as I say, a sightseeing trip or just to look at what's happening and do nothing. We are here because we are acutely aware from our members within our own constituencies that are having family members that they can't get in contact with. They are really concerned. They're coming to our constituency surgeries. So we are I raised 10 days ago the issue about 13,000 young boys who've been detained according to the National Indian Women's Federation. We are constantly raising this. We hope that in addition to what we are doing and through our government, the international community as a whole will recognise that human rights has to be a priority. The priority is not just about trade, it is also about the rights of all citizens within sovereign nations. And there is an obligation under the UN Convention of Human Rights for us all states, to call other states when we feel that that's not happening.
Anas Malik.
Thank you so much. It's a two-part question for both the Honourable Foreign Minister and the Honourable MP. Firstly, the Indian Foreign Minister at the Munich Security Conference, he remarked that one of the two democracies will be settling the Kashmir dispute. Which democracy would it be, in your opinion, both? Number one. Number two, precisely for this group, the Indian side has always maintained that, quote-unquote, Kashmir is an internal matter. You being the chair of the group, how do you see this claim, given that you've already issued reports as well and it hasn't been much made in by the Indian government? Thank you.
As far as the issue of internal matters is concerned, I think that was very well answered by the Secretary General of the United Nations when he categorically said that the Security Council resolutions are as relevant today as they were previously. So, if that is so, then it is no longer an internal matter. It is an internationally recognized dispute, and the Secretary General of the United Nations endorses that. He said so in so many words. He also said categorically that he is concerned about human rights violations. He said it in Islamabad, you were there, and he said it in Lahore when he was engaging with the press at Kartarpur. So that's very obvious. The statement made by Jaishankar, Minister for External Affairs, that's his opinion. And everybody has a right to have an opinion, that one democracy will take a decision. That democracy has taken a decision, and that was on the 5th of August. And you've seen the reaction to that decision. You have seen how the Kashmiris, those Kashmiris that were previously engaging with them, forming governments with them, coalition governments with them, have rejected that action. Today, many organizations within India are calling the Public Safety Act as draconian. International human rights bodies are calling it draconian. and are being critical of that. Today, a huge a segment of population within India, and not Muslims, other minorities inclusive, are saying that the Citizen Amendment Act was a folly. It has defaced the image of a secular democratic India. So their action is becoming increasingly pronounced.
In terms of, is this a bilateral issue? I think I responded to that in the earlier question, but just to repeat my response, when, and Foreign Minister Qureshi, in his response about the UN Secretary General, made it absolutely clear around the UN resolutions that they are still in place, they are still actionable, and it needs to be recognised that these are international concerns. But as I get back to the human rights issue, it is the obligation of all states, according to the UN Convention, to act when they feel another state is discriminating to such an extent against a minority within their community. And that is what we need to do, and we need to make sure that the UK responds to that. Human rights are not negotiable. They are for everyone, regardless of gender, regardless of age, disability, religion, ethnicity. They are for all of us.
At the back, Tariq Malik.
Can I just come in on that? 2 points, please. The first thing I want to say is, just to conclude on that point, human rights can never ever be bilateral issues. Human rights are always international issues for the international community, and anybody reverting away from that point needs to go back and check the rule book in terms of what the international law says. The other point the Foreign Minister raised, the Indian Armed Forces Special Powers Act and the Public Safety Act are both draconian legislations that are recognised again in international law as illegal, and therefore the international community again has an obligation to call those things out. And one of the things we in the UK have a moral and historic duty about this issue, and we can't shy away from that issue. We must come out, and governments of all stripes, quite frankly, have shied away from that issue, and they must be bolder, and we must help to assist resolve that. The final thing I want to say with regards to the statement by from the Indian government ministers is many statements that we've seen have been very irresponsible, and we would say that they are not befitting of those roles.
Tariq, at the back. Tariq Malik, at the back, please. Thank you.
Thank you very much. This is Tariq Mehmood from Hum TV. Ma'am, we see that international efforts are going on. The UN Secretary General has also said that the UN Security Council resolutions must be implemented, and they are as relevant as they were. But we see that the ongoing kind of genocide in Indian occupied Kashmir. What UK is a very, very important member of international community. On international, you have a say on international forums as well. What is the way forward, as we see there is internal pressure building on the government of Pakistan that to do more and to stop and to do something to stop the human rights violation? What is the way forward?
I need to make it clear, we're not here representing the British government. We are an all-party group. What we can do is put pressure on the British government, and I mentioned the meetings that we have had already with the Foreign Minister, and we will continue to do that. And there are a whole host of ways that we have previously drawn attention to the issues that are being faced across the line of control, as I say, but particularly in Indian occupied Kashmir. And we will continue to do that. But I cannot speak on behalf of the British government. That's not our role. We're an independent group of parliamentarians from all parties who believe that the issues in Kashmir are really important, and as I say, particularly in terms of human rights.
मैंने इनसे जो गुफ्तगू की ऊपर میں نے ان سے یہ گزارش کی کہ میرا پچھلے 6 ماہ کا تجربہ جو ہے 5 اگست کے بعد میں مختلف گورنمنٹ سے انٹریکٹ کیا ہے, فارن منسٹر سے انٹریکٹ کیا ہے, اور وہ اعتراف کرتے ہیں کہ جو کچھ ہو رہا ہے بے خبر نہیں ہے, باخبر ہیں, لیکن مصلحتاً خاموش ہیں. کمرشل انٹرسٹ ہیں, بہت بڑی مارکیٹ ہے, منڈیوں کی تلاش ہے اور مفادات ہیں. میں نے ان سے گزارش کی ہے کیونکہ یہ حکومت کی نمائندگی نہیں کر رہے. As you said, they are not representing the government. They are representing the parliament and the people. ہمیں امید ہے پارلیمنٹ سے, اور میں ان کی موجودگی میں میڈیا سے یہ کہہ رہا ہوں کہ ہم توقع کر رہے ہیں ہاؤس آف کامنز سے, ہم توقع کرتے ہیں یورپین پارلیمنٹ سے, ہم توقع کرتے ہیں یو ایس کانگریس سے کہ جس طرح پاکستان کی پارلیمنٹ نے یکے بعد دیگر 2 جوائنٹ ریزولوشنز پیش کیے ہیں. We have had 2 joint resolutions across the party divide in our parliament in a joint session. Both houses, Senate and National Assembly, unanimously passed those resolutions on human rights violations and other things. جس طرح ہم نے وہ کیے ہیں, آپ بھی اپنی پارلیمنٹ سے آواز اٹھائیے, کیونکہ الٹیمیٹلی حکومتیں بناتی اور گراتی پارلیمنٹس ہیں, اور یہ پالیسی میکرز ہیں, اوپینین میکرز ہیں, ان کی آواز میں وزن ہے. ایک میری توقع ہے اور میری خواہش ہے کہ پارلیمنٹس جو ہیں اور پارلیمنٹیرینز, میں نے ان کو کہا میں آج وزیر خارجہ ہوں, کل نہیں ہوں گا, پر مجھے سب سے بڑا جو فخر ہے بنیادی طور پہ کہ آئی ایم اے پارلیمنٹیرین فرسٹ اینڈ فارن منسٹر سیکنڈ. سو پارلیمنٹ کو آواز اٹھانی چاہیے, دنیا کی پارلیمنٹس کو آواز اٹھانی چاہیے. ایک نمبر 2, ہیومن رائٹس کی مسئلہ ہے تو انٹرنیشنل ہیومن رائٹس آرگنائزیشنز آواز اٹھا رہی ہیں, ان کی آواز پر توجہ دینی چاہیے حکومتوں کو. جو حکومتیں علمبردار ہیں انسانی حقوق کی, وہ کیوں نہیں سن پا رہی کہ جو وہ ہیومن رائٹس باڈیز کہہ رہی ہیں. اور تیسری چیز, آپ کلیم کرتے ہیں ڈیموکریسی, ایک ڈیموکریسی کی اپنی ویلیوز ہوتی ہیں, ڈیموکریسی کا اپنا کلچر ہوتا ہے, تو کیا وہ ڈیموکریسی خاموش رہے گی؟ اور اس قسم کی جب وائلیشنز ہو رہی ہیں کہ ڈیموکریسیز کو بھی اپنا رول پلے کرنا ہے, تو میں ڈیموکریٹک گورنمنٹ سے, میں ہیومن رائٹس آرگنائزیشن سے اور پارلیمنٹ سے توقع کرتا ہوں کہ اس مسئلے کو, جو کہ بہت نازک ہے اور جس کا تذکرہ کل ہوا ہے کہ یہ کشمیر جو ہے ایک نیوکلیئر فلیش پوائنٹ بن گیا ہے, یہ عمران خان نہیں کہہ رہے, یہ میونخ کی سیکیورٹی کانفرنس کہہ رہی ہے جو وہاں ہوا ہے, اور اس پر ایک تجزیہ پیش کیا گیا ہے کہ خدا نہ خواستہ اگر حالات بگڑتے ہیں تو کیا نوعیت ہو جائے گی اور اس کا گلوبل امپیکٹ کیا ہوگا.
Question Ali Jaswal at the back, please. Thank you.
Well, sir, how would you evaluate your performance, your group's performance, and Pakistan's performance in terms of lobbying for Kashmir issue, as it has been more than 6 months and not even a single Western country has categorically condemned the Indian act of annexation of Kashmir into its union, and it has been, and not to mention the demand to reverse their act, which is a huge setback. Even the UN Security, the Secretary General did not condemn the Indian act of annexation, and it seems as if once the human rights issues will be concerned, things would perceive to be normal, and which is not just a huge setback for Pakistan's foreign policy, but for the Kashmiris' right to self-determination. And what about the other groups, those who are raising the voice on the Kashmir issue in the West? Do they consider the Kashmir issue to be resolved as per the UN Security Council resolutions, or are there any groups, those who demand independent Kashmir also?
Where do you want me to begin? If it was more like a statement than a question, but I'll try and pick the question out of the statement. You see, you have to build on a situation that had not been discussed for years, an issue that was a live issue, a very real issue, but was put on the back burner because the world was involved in other things, and Pakistan was involved in fighting extremism and terrorism, on the Western side. After 54 years, we have gone back to the Security Council. A beginning has been made. The Secretary General, how many Secretary Generals even said that prior to this Secretary General? Recall and rethink, and you will understand it takes time. It's a long haul. I wish it could be solved like that. Who would be happier than myself? But you have to chip. You have to continue chipping. And obviously, this just cause, sooner or later, the world will realize that they cannot ignore this very, very serious issue. And the people of Kashmir, I think, the people who are paying a huge price through their personal sacrifice, will not let that happen.
Thank you very much. Can I respond to that question? So can I just respond to that? Because I share the frustration. I share the frustration in the question or in the statement that was made. But as Foreign Minister Qureshi has just said, look, this is the longest running land dispute in the world. It has been escalated by India in terms of the actions that they took on the 5th of August. We are here to, again, bring focus to that. And there is commitment from the Pakistani government to do the right thing, to allow human rights organisations in, to have a third report, and to make that difference. We, as a group of parliamentarians, will take this back and our observations back to lobby our government. But, with the geopolitical significance of two nuclear powers at loggerheads with each other, I think, the sentiment in the comment wasn't particularly fair. I understood the frustration, but the sentiment wasn't particularly fair.
Thank you.
नाज़रीन, गुफ्तगू सुन रहे थे आप बरतानवी अरकान पार्लियामेंट की वज़ीर ख़ारजा के हमरा न्यूज़ कॉन्फ्रेंस करते हुए। वज़ीर ख़ारजा का ये कहना था कि मकबूजा कश्मीर में मुसलसल कर्फ्यू है और इस मौके पर बरतानवी लेबर पार्टी की रुकन पार्लियामेंट जो कि चेयरपर्सन है ऑल पार्टी पार्लिमानी ग्रुप बराए कश्मीर